Hey everybody, Glenn from Third Millennium. Question and answer session today. Going to answer some of the more common questions that we do get in here. And one of them that we get a lot is, do you have a recommendation for a radio? Again, we don't sell radios. Obviously, we know a lot about car audio. So what I thought I would do is take a couple minutes here, go through some general information, and maybe point you in the right direction. A couple of things that we know you're going to need, faceplate adapters and those things. We're going to leave a whole bunch of part numbers at the bottom section below this video. These are not parts that we sell. We're simply providing them to you to try to help you out in terms of if you're going to do a do-it-yourself for a radio. You'll need to get those. And if you go to a shop, we have some general recommendations as well as a couple of online resources we'll point you to. Again, no affiliation. We don't get anything from it. But we do want to try to help everybody out with their Miatas and audio. So, first one. A radio for a car in general, first thing is obviously a budget. It's going to be driven a lot based upon features. And there are certain features that you probably already know that you would really like to have in a radio, especially if you've got an older Miata that came with a factory radio. It doesn't have any features practically. It might play a CD. Some of them just play a cassette even. I mean, there's no Bluetooth, there's nothing. So you really got to decide which of those things are important to you. One that I would highly suggest you consider is models that have wireless CarPlay and Android Auto if you're going to be listening from your phone or an MP3 player. Having that wireless means that you can have a direct interface between the phone and the in-dash stereo, including displays on the screen for things like maps, but also all of your music as well. And having it wireless means the previous generation, to get this functionality, you actually had to connect via USB. They're now available in a completely wireless thing. That, we think, is a really neat feature. That would be one that I'd want to have if I was putting a stereo in a car right now. If your budget allows it, consider adding an external amplifier, regardless of what it says on the faceplate. And I'll leave a link to another question and answer session that we've done talking about what the actual output power is of a car radio. Any in-dash amplifier that's going to be in the radio that you're going to have is going to be practically limited 10 or 12 watts per channel, regardless of what it says on the faceplate. An external amp can really, really help, particularly with the bass on those door speakers. The M800s love to get a little extra power to help with the low end. Doesn't need to be a huge amount. I mean, if you could give them an honest 20, 25 watts per channel even, doesn't need to be 1,000 watts, 500 watts, 20 or 25 actual clean watts into each door will sound fantastic. So figure out if your budget would allow that. A small amp that will fit into a Miata, like the Pioneer, I think it was the GM, it was the 1004, I believe, that we put into our 2012. I'll leave a link for that video for you as well. Very, very small. You could use that in a 2-channel mode, probably get an honest 50, 60 watts per channel out of it. Works great. Really helps for the sound quality. For brands, not making any specific endorsements here. Some that we like: Sony, Pioneer, Kenwood, Alpine, Dual, and Blaupunk still make some good stuff. We personally suggest staying away from no-names and third-tier products like Boss or Jensen or JVC or some that you've never even heard of but simply show up. It's a lot of work to put in a radio if you're doing it yourself or having a shop do it. You can easily spend more to install it than the actual radio costs. If you're going to keep your Miata, make enough of an investment, build it into your budget to get one of those name brand ones and actually install that. For shopping, if you're going to do it online, you almost have to, unless you're fortunate enough. When I was growing up down on Cape Cod, they had a stereo store called Nantucket Sound that had a couple of branches, but it was a store that wouldn't be economical really to have today in the online mail order world where Amazon sells everything at 1%, over cost. But back then, you could actually have a retail store. You could have this stuff hooked up. You could actually see it and touch it and listen to it. And it was really a wonderful experience. If you've got one of those stores that's in your community, by all means, make a trip and talk to them. See if you can get somebody there who really knows what they're doing. Tell them what you have, your Miata and so forth, and have a little discussion with them about what you can do with it. Mounting kits. Well, before I get to the mounting kits, if you're going to shop online, we personally like Crutchfield. Again, no affiliation. The reality is it's a quality run operation. They have, very importantly, not only a factory genuine sealed product that they're reputable about selling, and they're actually authorized dealers for the brands, but they also have all of the installation kits. Now that's really important, especially on the newer Miatas. Like when we did our 2012, we needed the interface for the steering wheel controls. We needed the faceplate, which included the cutouts for the heater and ventilation and air conditioning controls. We needed a lockout for the emergency brake switch. Some of them have a sensor for that you might need, some of those things. Plus, of course, just the harness adapters to allow you to plug it in without cutting the vehicle's wiring all to pieces, which you absolutely do not need to do anymore and you do not want to do anymore. So it's really important to find a vendor that not only understands but has all of this stuff. And I think it's an advantage to buy it all in one place. Could you maybe get a better deal if you aggressively shopped all over the internet? Sure. That's up to you. Place some value on your time, however, and consider if you can buy everything in one place. That might be a nice thing to actually do and just get it all done at one time. Speaking of faceplates, mounting, Metra, a company called Metra, M-E-T-R-A, they have long been a provider of some of these harnesses, these wiring harnesses, and I don't know if this is a Metra one. This is just one that we happen to have here that goes into a radio and allows you to then interface into the car system without cutting all the wires. But really importantly, Metra also has replacement faceplates. So in the first, second, third generation Miatas, part of the installation of a nice aftermarket stereo system is you need to have a replacement faceplate. And in the first generation, where you had that tombstone arrangement, Metra actually makes a replacement for the whole thing that allows you to mount either a single or a double DIN radio. Double DIN, single is conventional, where the old, I say conventional, depends how old you are. In the old days, all radios were like this guy. Here's a Bose that's out of one of the Miatas. I don't even remember which year this one was, but that's a single DIN. Okay, a double DIN is just double that size, and it's really nice if you have it's important to you to have a radio that has a larger screen. Maybe you want to put a map on it for navigation, to have your phone with that wireless Android Auto or CarPlay, Apple CarPlay. Bigger screen, that would be a double DIN type of a radio. And Metra actually makes a new tombstone now that will allow that. Part number DP7528. Again, I'll have all of these numbers down below for you if you want. For NB's second generation Miata, faceplate adapter is Metra 997505. And for the NC's, the faceplate adapter is Metra 997519B. And I believe when you get to the Metra site, they actually have a lookup as well. You can confirm all this, put in the year and the model and the trim and everything else, and they'll confirm that. But the nice thing is the guys at Crutchfield have already done all this work for you, and will actually guarantee that you get the radio from them and the other parts, and it's all going to fit and work. Okay, just to finish up, models, couple suggestions, and this is obviously going to be dated. I'm shooting this video for you here in early 2023. You know, a couple years goes by, this is not going to be terribly relevant, but right now, a couple suggestions, and these are also down below. Pioneer AVH 241EX, it's about $300. Very nice radio head unit. Kenwood DDX 276BT, also about $300. Kenwood DDX 9707S, $850. Obviously a higher end unit, but quite nice. Alpine INE W970HD, $800. Pioneer AVH W2770NEX, that's $450. Sony XAV AX5000, that's around $450. So if you want to actually sit down with a cup of coffee and go to the Crutchfield site, browse through, take a look at those models, maybe that'll give you some ideas, help you get started as to what you might like to have in your Miata. And last thing, again, just to get an idea of what can be done with the Miata, we spent some time and filmed the entire process of putting a really nice system into our 2012 Miata. Head unit, amp, the speakers, you know, we did pretty much the whole thing. And you can actually see what the process is. So if you're thinking about doing an installation yourself, wondering what actually might be involved with it, that might be worth checking out. You might look at that and say, no, I don't want to do this. Then go ahead and look for a good stereo shop. And keep in mind, a good stereo shop, most of them should be fine if you tell them that you're going to be bringing in your own components because you're very particular what you want to have. By all means, if they're going to be doing the work, they may wish to try to sell it to you, but most of their profit is centered in the labor, not in the devices, because they know everybody can just go onto Amazon or Crutchfield and pick them up at a cost that they probably can't match. But have the conversation with them beforehand, just make sure that they're good with that, and you can even discuss what you're planning to do or maybe get some feedback from them. Obviously, we're there to help you with any questions you might have about any of the speakers, in any of the years of the Miatas. So, again, links for all of this down at the bottom. Hope you guys found this helpful. Go ahead and subscribe if you're not a subscriber. Again, we have a large percentage of people that watch these videos that aren't subscribers. Go ahead and do that. Tick the bell there at the bottom. You'll get notification about new videos as they get posted. And if you have any questions, go ahead, throw them down on the bottom as well, or send them to us on our website. Be glad to help you out with those, and hope everybody enjoys their Miatas. Thanks very much.